So here we go, we're actually going to start putting some cladding sheets on now. Very excited. First thing we're going to do is make sure that the sarking is not sitting down on the bottom, and that when we put the sheets on, that the sarking is not going to hang out underneath the sheets. Now, I've got Alex here going through and just quickly trimming with his tin snips, and he's using tin snips rather than a Stanley knife because he doesn't want to scratch the Colorbond behind it. So he's just going through and just trimming, just roughly, about 20mm off the bottom edge. Now you could use scissors if you want to, but because you're doing metal cladding, you've already got your snips out, don't you? Rightio, so he's going to trim that off, and I'm going to go get the first sheet ready. So my first sheet, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the tape measure in the bottom corner and measure up into the gap there on the high side. Tight into there, tight into there, and hard on the bottom is 27.85. So I'm going to take 10mm off that and make it 27.75. I'll write that down here, 27.75. And then we want to come across and measure what the measurement's going to be at this next line at the edge of that sheet. So I'm going to measure from the top down or from the bottom up, whichever way, you can do it either way, and find out what that measurement is, and then minus 10 off that. Then I'm going to take those two measurements, I'm going to translate them onto the sheet and cut the sheet. And we've got 27.65 type to 27.55. So there's a 20mm difference. As you can see, this is the right hand side and the left hand side of the sheet. We're laying from the right to the left. From the right to the left. So it's the right hand side. In this situation, the right hand side is the over, the left hand side is the under. That's because the over clips over the under. So when we're taking our measurements, we're going to measure the over as the high side and the under as the low side. So what were our measurements? We had 27.75, that'll go on here, and 27.55 will be measured on here. We good? So here we have the basalt mat 265 sheet ready cut at the top to go and be slid into its first position. Now here's the really exciting part. Remember what it looked like before? Go back to the very first video. This is the point where it all gets really, really enjoyable. So we're going to take this here, and we're going to put this in the wall. Now, what is our gap going to be? The gap that we have at the bottom needs to be even, needs to be equal across the whole wall. So what are we going to use? Well, there's lots of things you can do. We don't want a big gap. We want, like, I took 10mm off there before, so what I'm going to use is my trip raw. These are one of the best things that you can have as a tradesman or as a roofer or as a cladder to do little measurements, basic flashings and things like that. So this here does so many jobs. But what we're going to do is use that as our spacer underneath. So when we put it on, we'll sit the over on top of there so that we get a really good even finish across the board. You don't even have to put it under the over. So what we're using here is a tiny little Phillips head metal tech wafer head screw. So what we need to do is this here, it needs to line up right there and be screwed. We're going to put a screw in there, one in the bottom, one in there, one at the top, and that's how they get fixed in. This here will get fixed in afterward with when we do our flashing. But what I need to do first and foremost is mark just a little mark on the side of each one of these where the battens are. One thing you want to make sure you do is mark that batten on that side of the sheet so that when you put your flashing on, you know where those battens are. And those battens are going to then, we're going to get a fixing in through there when we do our little flashing system. Making sure you know where the battens are important. You can take photos, or you can mark it down somewhere on the wall, you can take measurements. The easiest way to do it though is just to mark it on the first sheet that you put it on, so that you know where they are. Because they're concealed fixings. Once you put them all on, you go, where are the battens, right? So that's a little trick. I'm really excited, it's going to look so good. So we grab our level, and we go, we're going to set this on. Now you can see here that this butts up against the wall, and if that's pretty even against the wall, we can trust that this wall's going to be level. And if that wall's way out of level and we make this level, then it's going to look a bit odd. However, this has to be level. If you don't put this on level, the bottom are going to sawtooth along the sheet and it's going to look horrible. So it's really important. It's really important to make sure it's level. And it's just easy. You put your level up on the sheet, take a look at where it sits. And amazingly, that wall isn't level. Alright, so I've got this sitting nice and level. I keep the pressure on the sheet, so I need to keep the pressure holding that on there. I've got a screw in my hand. It's sitting at the level I want it to at the bottom. There we go, screws in. I'm just going to repeat that and go through and put the rest of the screws in. Oh, I didn't put my little mark at the top, so I'm going to make sure I do that next time. Okay, so our next sheet that's going to go on here is a 165. Alright, now that we've got the first sheet on, let's get into it and get some progress happening. So the next thing we've got to do is flash around the window here. So I put a toe mold that runs along here so that the sheet can slide into there, and a head flashing that's going to run along here really nicely. Let's do it. So what we have here is the heel flashing for the window, and it's going to sit on the wall like that. And you can see how at the end here we've designed this little return, so if any water does track down here, it hits that and it'll run to either end of the flashing. So I'm going to measure this up and fit it to the wall. Rightio, so here's our window flashing. We've turned up this end, we've turned up this end, we've got the meat on the ends of them so that they can support our side flashings when we install them. So Alex, if you can take these out of the way so the people at home can see what we're doing, that would be fantastic. Right now that we've got rid of Alex. Come on Alex, let's grab the other end of this, mate. So we're going to sit this down, we've got the heel down here. So where the tag is, the tag's basically going to hook right on that end there. Just perfectly like that. So it sits in there. Okay? So we sit in here, and what we've got is we've got the batten at either end. Right here. I'm going to lift this up and pull this as tight as I possibly can. Thank you, sir. Rivet in this end. Down the other end. Really tight. We have our basalt heel flashing sitting in there nice so that when we come through, we put our sheet in here, that'll tuck in nicely under here. The first one will actually slide in the end, we'll clip it in, and then the rest will just slide up, clip, slide and clip. That's how that works. Now we're going to jump on to the top flashing, which is called the head flashing. So now we've got our toe mould on and our head flashing on, and we're ready to put the next sheet on here. Then once that sheet goes on, it'll be really quick, moving all the way through here to the very end of the sheet. Right, so that's the end of part 1 of the basalt wall install. Catch you on the next episode when we're going to start from here and finish it through there, measure up the last little flashings and finish her off. It's looking really, really good. I'm very excited. Alex has been a huge help today. He's been the one getting the other little bits of video footage. He started in the show a little bit even too, so I'm really happy with that. He's going to come a long way. He's a good kid. And when you're working with good people, you feel good about working, and you get to the end of the day and you feel good that you've achieved something. So here we are. Got our head flashing, got our heel flashing, got our first 3 sheets on, and we're ready to go to get the lot finished. See you on the next one.